As you can see, my timing's perfect. It's kind of nearly low tide, the ramp's slippery, and I've got to get me dinghy in now. This is my anode here. This is to protect this shaft and the pin and everything that goes through the spear. And I've got Duralac on here, which is to protect between here and here. There's a face there, and on that face it had managed to get a little bit of electrolysis. But in 4 years, I think about half of the anode had gone. Alongside the Bulimba Sailing Club jetty, and I've just put some water on board. The ram's on board. Everything's ready to go now. So we're going to go down the river with the tide. The tide's been going out a couple of hours now, so I should get a good run out. And hopefully, it's from the southeast. I should get a bit of a run up to the sandhills as well with the tide coming in. You know, I haven't done anything to it really on the outside in 5 years. It's looking, the top sides are chalky, but I'm not going to do anything with them. The windows are slowly getting a little bit more degraded. And my solar panels, they're hanging in there, they look pretty good. I put the rubber dinghy on the top here, that's how I lift it, and winch it over the side and then secure it. I've got my beaching legs on board. Anyway, we're off down the river. You can see the tide's going out by all these buds here. We'll carry on down, go to the sandhills, which will take us about 5 hours, I think. Coming by the container wharf now at 11 o'clock. Had a good run down the river. I think we've been going about an hour. We've got quite a strong tide underneath us. There's a ship coming in, 2 tugs on it. It's going to turn itself round in a minute, and I think it's going in alongside that wharf there. A tug on the back. And there's the container wharf. It's blowing from the southeast today at they reckon about 12 knots, gusting up to 15. Yeah, the ship looks to me like it's going in reverse here at the moment. Back down the river where we've come. I've got the main up at the moment with one reef in it, which I hope will suffice to get us over to the sandhills. The jib's up there ready to get hanked on. Sailing along very well. Going to windward. About a couple of miles off the sandhills now. Behind us there is Mud Island, and you might be able to see the cranes of the docks. Centre of the screen is the end of Morton Island, and on the south side there is Stradbroke Island. Coming round to the bow here, you can see the little sandhills, little glimpse of them occasionally on the bow. We've only got about a mile to go now to get to the sandhills, so I'm not going to take the sails in or anything. I'm just letting them out. As you can see there, the main's pretty backwinded at the moment. It's now half tide, and I believe I'll have about a metre and a half at least of water. So with a beautiful rainbow to aim at, I'm going to head in. I'm lowering the ram down into the board. If you can see there's the ram, and there's a little bit of cord, 4mm cord at the other end, which is supporting the ram on the end of the halyard. And as I lower it down, the ram should go down the hole, hopefully. Yeah, I've got the new ram in there, and this is my little chemical factory here. Because it leaked, I've had to bleed the system, so I've kind of bled the pump, which is in behind there, and all I've got to do now is connect it up to those two things up there, opposite way round to start with, and blow the spear down to the bottom, and then connect it the right way round, and then I can dive over the side and put the pin in, which sounds easy, but it will take me a fair while. This is my second day here in Blue Hole. Yesterday I worked from about 12 o'clock till 6 o'clock removing the old ram. There it is, down there. It was when I bought the boat, you know, it was in a pretty sorry state, this ram, but it didn't leak. So I put it in a pipe of molasses, you know, about, I think it's about 1 in 7 or something. Anyway, it left it there for about 4 months, and hosed it off, and coated it with epoxy, and it's done very well. Then just before I put it in, I happened to have some waterproofing I did my shower with, so I put a bit of that round, because the epoxy cracked in a few places because I put it on so thick. But there it is, there's the ram, there's the other end there. Anyway, got that out. It came out pretty well, but wrestling the other one in was a different story. For the viewers that watch my videos, sorry I haven't posted for about 6 months. I've been working on my house at home, renovating bathrooms, doing other things as well, painting a few ceilings, getting rid of the Stipple-Tex. Anyway, I've got on the boat about 2 days ago now, and I've got my ram reconditioned that was leaking, and I managed to get it back in. Yesterday I put the pin in, and it took quite a while to get the pin lined up. I had to keep basically it wouldn't go in, you know, and you just couldn't podge it there. So anyway, I'd have to come back, get all my gear off in the cockpit, come and press the button on the hydraulic ram, go back, have another go, realise it's not quite in the right place, come back out again. Well, every time you had to do that, you had to take all your dive gear off, everything off, weight belt, everything, wait for about a minute to stop dripping, you know, quite considerably, and then come downstairs and press the button. Anyway, by the end of the day, it's overcast here and it's cold, blowing about 15 knots. after about an hour of this, I am really cold. Anyway, I managed to get the pin in and secured with a screw, and now I'm trying to get I've got these little caps here that go on the outside of the boat. They go in the hole and then they screw in, and they've got a little mark there, a cut in both sides, so that I can line it up so the screws go in. But I take 3 glasses, you know, magnifying 3 or whatever. Anyway, when I'm down there, I can't see well enough to see where the mark is or where the screw holes are. So I faffed around for about 20 minutes yesterday, getting colder and colder, and I just could not do it. So before I worked and put the old Ram back in, I had a pair of I've got me goggles like this, bought another one, and I looked to buy some glasses, goggles that have got 3+. Anyway, they wanted a lot of money on internet, and I thought, bugger that, you know, I'm not paying $150 for something that I'll probably only use once. So I've looked again and trolled about for a few hours, and I found some person that got an old pair of glasses. They pulled the old lenses out and they super glued them in. So that's what I'm going to do with these, and I did it before, but I forgot that was why I managed to get the things on, because I had a couple of these in my things, in my goggles, that made it just clear when you're really close up, because you're trying to put a little screw in, which is, where are they, you know, like the screws are kind of that size, you know, 8-gauge screws, and it's just hard. And I put the analogy to somebody who when you walk up to them and they say, all right, you know, Mr. Carter, yeah, come on in and do this, now fill in this form, and you haven't got your glasses. They don't make forms for people that can't see. You know, they could make the print a lot bigger so you could see it and say, oh, what, you know, haven't got your glasses, oh, we'll use this, Mr. Carter. But no, they don't, so they just assume. So anyway, I'm gonna have a crack at doing this again, and I think it's this one here, maybe. So what you do is obviously you clean off this in here. I don't really need to clean these off at all, because you know, it's going to be bugger all you're going to do there. So here we go, and you've got to get a bit of good come out. Yeah, it's going to come out. So that one goes on that side. So you just put a speck on there like that, a little drip, turn it over and stick it in there like that. And do the same with the other one. And I tried it before, and believe it or not, it works. So if you needed to dive and you can't see the coral very well, and you're coming up on holiday, get an old pair of $7 reading glasses that you've broken, save the lenses, get yourself your dive mask. This is only a cheap and cheerful one, and from Aldi, I think, when I bought a whole kit. And I don't normally use it, so that's why it's, you know, I've got it. Anyway, so you just put those in, and lo and behold, when I'll go down in a minute, I will be able to see where I put the screws in. But it's very overcast today, and I'm going to be cold, so I've only got one chance to do this, you know, be down there 20 minutes and it's all got to be done. I came out here and I've got all the hydraulics working, connected and everything else. And the speed goes up and down when it's not under pressure, but I haven't got enough hydraulic oil. I'm about, I reckon, 500 mil short, so it's blowing air so it won't raise the keel. And I'm in here in Blue Hole, and if I go out on high tide at the moment, I reckon I'd have maybe 100 to 200 millimeters underneath me, I think, if I went out on high tide at 10 o'clock. Well, it's 9:30 now. I'm thinking about going outside and doing this in some other place and moving on, but I'm still considering that, because if you can't lift the keel and you run aground at high tide, it's not very good. Right, that's that. And the other thing that happened to me on the way out here, sailed out of Brisbane perfectly alright, and got over here, started the engine. That was okay. Engine started okay, started to get ready to take the sails down. Then I looked over the back and lo and behold, there was no water coming out. So anyway, I gave the engine a good rev and water came out. And when I got in here, I thought, oh well, I better go and check that pump, see what's going on. And when I checked the pump, there it is, bloody two impellers had come off. Well, I took the pipe off as far as I could, you know, to see if I could shake the blooming impellers out. But no, I think they're sat in at the plate where it hits the heat exchanger and the coil in there, which a coil in the heat exchanger is basically loads and loads of tubes, probably about 20 small tubes, and the water goes through there. So two of these is sitting in there. Well, I can't do anything about it at the moment because you've got to take the alternator off. And it's about a day's work, but the engine works okay, water's coming out, it's not overheating, so I'm quite happy to carry on till I've got time to do it. My pressure's on at the moment is my wife's on holiday from today, and I'd like to get down the Gold Coast and where we can use the boat like a caravan and walk up to restaurants and have cups of, or cafes and have cups of coffees and breakfasts and things like that. So that's my priority at the moment. So I've got this little thing. I'm going to dive down with this little bag and a screwdriver and see if I can get this all back together and drive out of here. It was pretty cold that day, so I ended up diving over the side about 4 o'clock in the evening. Anyway, lo and behold, it took me about 15-20 minutes. I was all done, cleaned the boat up, had some dinner, and then set off for the Gold Coast. About 2 in the morning, I managed to get to just beyond Cudjimudlo, and it was freezing. So I put the anchor down and went to bed, and got up about 10 o'clock in the morning and sailed on to Paradise Point down in the Gold Coast, where I met my wife for a holiday. We had a great time there. You go to coffee shops and go walking, and then we went over to Tipler's where we could go walking as well. And then I delivered her back to Paradise Point, and I set off for that night to head north. Thanks for watching, and you're welcome to come along for the ride. I'm going as far as the Whitsundays this year because my wife has emailed me a Jetstar itinerary, so that's where we're going.